am Kirsten Peek. I am a semi-retired sabbatical high school teacher, originally living in Florida, that ran away to my island paradise here in Puerto Rico and basically started writing and researching to solve problems. I write curriculum. I used to win awards for helping struggling people figure out those little pieces that they missed in school so that they can refine that performance and kick it up a notch and really live their best lives, because it's little things that stumble people up, get people stumbled up. Okay, so welcome here to the Betrayed by Trump guide. This is our nighttime station where we are going to deep dive into problem solving, life skills, teaching, and thinking practice. Frankly, I used to teach critical thinking in English, argument, how things were structured so that it made sense to the world, how to communicate with people, how to negotiate deals, how to solve problems through communications and through listening, frankly. So, one of the things that I've realized while I've been doing my own research is that we have a problem, and it's a great divide of American politics. I'm sure that you've heard about it if you're here, because the MAGA movement has divided people, or we've gotten divided. And it's kind of gotten to the point where I'm not even going to talk about who did what first. I'm not even going to get to that. Let's not focus on that. I want to focus on a way to come back together, because I believe that the American dream is still valuable, is still alive. It is based on some common values that I believe we all still share, and that we have to figure out how to talk to each other again. So I am, first up, let me just say here, I know there's a big fear factor with this. It's scary. There's been a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blame, a lot of misinformation. And frankly, I think it's been a betrayal of everybody. And so, whether you were in the MAGA movement originally or whether you've never been in it, I really want us to figure out how to speak to each other again with respect, with truth. On the other hand, it's exactly what I would be doing if I were still teaching world history and civics, or if I were still teaching argument and AP language composition and how people structure things, how kids get into law school. So my first hurdle here is I believe that we have to agree on each little piece along the way, and that this first hurdle is the value of respect and truth. And if you agree with that first hurdle of respect and truth, then that's fantastic, because then I want to continue this dialogue. And I want to hear from you. Respect is something that we have to put forward. And so I pay it forward by giving you respect. And I ask that you give me the same respect in return. And the same thing about being respectful with ourselves. That's really where it has to start. Respecting our ideas and our beliefs. That's our first thing. And then the second one of this is truth. Being honest with ourselves is the foundation of everything. And I really think that unfortunately we've got people who are running on this fear thing, and then they're not really trusting themselves, and that this is like the first step. So again, I'm going to take these little steps, and I'm practicing this. Tonight's my preview. This is my dress rehearsal. I've been doing a bunch of research, and I really have to find a solution. Okay. So if we can, number one, agree that respect and truth are foundational principles here in the United States, I believe they are. I believe that the respect that the original Mayflower people and the original people coming, yeah, sure, they had problems and they didn't do right by the native people who were there when they landed. But on the other hand, they were really thankful that they landed and that they had the opportunity to try. And I think that gratitude piece is respect, and being honest and humble is your reputation, which I begin is this foundational principle of the United States. So if you're with me so far, let's continue. Okay, cool. So the second one on this, questioning ourselves. So here's, as a teacher, if you can get a person to start asking themselves questions, inquiry is that first step to figuring out the problem. If you begin to say, hey, am I having a problem? That's an indication that yes, you are, and that you need to begin peeling back this analysis of where the problem came from, but more importantly, how to fix it, how to find this commonality between the two different sides. Okay, so questioning yourself. These questions, I absolutely love them when I was teaching school because there's no right or wrong answer with these types of questions. Okay, so safety is another big thing. There, for example, there's the question is, which is better ice cream flavor, chocolate or vanilla? You can argue both ways, and trust me, I've heard students argue both of those, right? And I've heard them argue about the strawberry one and the mocha chip and all sorts of stuff. Fine. All of those decisions are correct as long as you personally can validate them and justify them as being, again, back to honest and true and valid, not a bunch of hooey that you're making up. Okay. Questions yourself. Another big piece of this is like when you go on vacation and you're like, hey, I've got a week of vacation. I want to go, but I'm not sure where to go. Well, you're going to have to kind of do a little bit of like a compass to sort of assess which way do you want to go. Do you want to go to the beach? Do you want to go to the city? My daughter likes to go to the mountains in the snow time, but it freaks me out. Those kinds of decisions is another level of thinking. And typically you look at a compass, right? Compass is going to help you find the direction. It's a tool. So I've made a tool to help people figure out if this is a direction that they'd like to go. It's called the MAGA Compass, and it's a series of questions that's totally up to you. If you score high on these, then you're probably going to want to come in my direction. And if you're not ready to score, if you're feeling good by these decisions, that's cool for you. Stay where you're at because you're not having this question about feeling like you've been betrayed. Because the more I peeled back the situation and the more I looked at those campaign promises, they're not coming true. And the things like the war that he said he was never going to have, yeah, we're in the middle of one. And the prices and things that he said was going to happen isn't, yeah. And if we're going to talk a betrayal, not only are they going to lie to you in your betrayal and manipulate you, but then they're going to start stealing things from you and manipulating you even more, like this corruption and greed. And I don't really believe that we, as common good people, everyone is good, everyone has human rights. I don't believe greed and corruption are really part of our American dream. And if they are, please explain that to me. That's part of this explaining your answer. So when we're in this station talk tomorrow, this is the type of activity that we're going to be doing and really looking at those values and really deciding, faith is important to a lot of people. And we in the United States have protections. It doesn't matter what kind of faith you have. Faith is protected. So here's another one that's being manipulated and used against people. And so spotting that manipulation and spotting those tactics is what I used to teach in my high school English classes. And it's not your fault if you missed that lesson. Maybe you were out because you broke your arm and you didn't get to have me as your teacher. Lots of crazy things happen, right? So back to this point of, if you're asking yourself, if you're feeling betrayed, if you're feeling kind of your own backstab, like the Navy secretary from a couple weeks ago, his own donor donates money, gets a fancy job, and then is suddenly out just because somebody didn't like him. And that's not fair. I'm going to even stand up for fairness, even in the corruptness of the tribe, because code is code. These are things we have to talk about. And I'm calm, and this is really important. And it's something that it gets back to me as a teacher. It's reading standard number 6. So drawing conclusions and making inferences is the hardest part about reading and writing and thinking. It's hard. I know it's hard. Students hate that stuff. So it's no surprise now to me that this little bitty thing is all we got to work on. That's all it is. And so here, you can see it. Okay, here's the teacher, because I'm using a comic book art. I'm going to use this pop art motif. It's my style. It's my brand to begin with. I love pop art. And so here's my funny cartoon guy. And it's basically, what if he's wearing his cape here? He's got his cape. He thinks it's great. It's not. It's all these assumptions. It's all this anger. It's all this leftover baggage from the past. It's all that what if. It's all that finger pointing crap that somebody carries around on them, right? And what if that's affecting your mindset? What if that does change your perception in how you look at the world and how you see things in the world, right? They call this defensive motivated thinking. It's false thinking. It's bad logic. It's coming from a position of weakness instead of a position of strength. And so here's this question to you. Are you really going to be brave enough to kind of check yourself and say, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, I do have this fear, and it's understandable. COVID was hard. We went through a lot of stuff. There were things that a lot of people didn't agree with. Okay, that was then. Now it's 5 years later. Can we put that stuff kind of aside, right? This is hurting us. It's hurting you from being able to think clearly. And so here, this one too, this is my limiting beliefs. Here's what all this stuff does. They call this limiting beliefs. It's like the baggage. It's like this extra stuff. It really is baggage. It really is. And it gets in your brain and it's holding your head down and you can't see. This is this break. You can't see how to get from your hopes, which is this high level thinking, to the more structured, deeper levels of thinking. It's more complicated, from 2D to 3D to 4D. Yeah, 4D thinking. I can show you how to do it. It's really simple. It's a formula. But you have to kind of break this stuff that's floating around. And it's weird. It's stuff that you don't see. It's your fears, your expectations, all those things. And if you haven't done this type of activity, if you haven't been in a situation where you really look at a character analysis, people who don't really read books and stories don't really practice this kind of emotional bonding thinking, okay? And it's not your fault. I'm not blaming anybody. Again, this is no shame, no pain, but no pain, no gain. So you're going to have to change it up, okay? And it's a modern take on really stoic, classical thinking. It's a formula. I'm not got any tricks. I'm just providing an opportunity for people to come together, to talk about the issues, to listen to each other. And I really want to hear. I want to hear the stories. I want to know, what is it that you really have to have